So let's go back to 2002 for a minute. Before all this happened, just tell me the young man that you were in 2002. I believe you're only 20 years old, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Tell me the young man that you were back then before all this happened.
I just had turned so I had was arrested in October. My birthday is in August. So I just turned 20 years old. So just recently had graduated from high school and now I was a college student. And I'm just doing what people do in that age bracket, just trying to figure out life itself and figure out what career path and things of that nature, enjoying friends, family, loved ones, and all those different things until this was thrust upon me.
So tell me about the arrest in October of 2002. Tell me when you first learned that you're a suspect in this crime.
I was coming back in town um, from a college uh, tour, so to speak. I was thinking about changing college um, from Ohio to Albuquerque. And so when I arrived in town, which was also Sweetest Day, I was going on a date with a friend of mine. And as soon as I arrived back in town, it seems like law enforcement jumped out the sky from somewhere. And I really didn't understand, what was going on. And I thought it would be cleared up uh, very soon. I'm from an urban area, so police harassment and them locking people up for something they didn't do or just like resolving it real quick, that wasn't new to me. So I just like, okay, well, I'll get back in the squad car and they'll get to the precinct and I'll be released soon. That didn't happen till almost 18 years later.
More or less, the reason why you are arrested and you are convicted is because the police, and I've covered this so many times, they bullied, they harassed a witness who was a single mom who was afraid. They threatened to take her kids away from her, allegedly. I just got to say that just to be safe. And then she says, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about Kevin being involved. I have no clue, but they threaten her and threaten her and threaten her. And what I've often seen, sadly, it's often a Black woman that they're threatening who has children, and they say, we're going to take your kids away from you. So she was forced into saying you were a part of this crime. When in the beginning, she says, I don't know what y'all are talking about. So I just think it's really important to start there, that this is how this really goes down. They were targeting you, they were after you, and they used this single mother, as vulnerable as she was. So explain to us what happened on September 27th, 2002.
Well, to touch bases on exactly what you said, that's a very common thread in these particular areas in these communities where people look like you and I.
Yeah.
These communities don't have a lot of people in regards to being financially uh, stable or savvy to have other friends that are very financially stable and savvy. Meaning, if you're from a different community, you might have a judge to stay to you next door because you guys on a different pay grade. See, in our community, we are the people they can pillage from. They can go next door and say, "Hey, you're going to say this, or we're going to take away your kids." Why? Because they feel like they don't have any power. Who are they going to run to? Who are they going to call? Us? So it's going to go anywhere, and it's been going on time and time again. That's why the state of Michigan and Wayne County has so many people coming home that has been wrongly convicted. But just to go back into my case, a guy was killed um, in the Park Side complex, which is also known as the projects, like they like to call it. Um, and it was actually a friend of the person that they threatened to coerce. I don't even know if we have to say allegedly because it's audio and videotape of them telling her, "Hey, do you want to get out of here? We're going to call social service and take away your kids if you don't do X, Y, and Z." We have audio and video tape of that. And that's what makes my situation so unique. It's almost like they was caught with their hand in the cookie jar. But the sad thing is, I'm the only person in the state of Michigan that went through 4 consecutive trials, right? And I wasn't released through a trial by jury or anything like that. Kim Worthy, who's the head prosecutor in Wayne County enacted something called the CIU, the Conviction Integrity Unit, that investigate guys' claims that, hey, I'm innocent, the police corrupt, they did this, they did that. So they enacted that. I also had the University of Michigan Innocent Clinic working on my case for like 10 years. Had these people not come into play, it's very well I'll be dead in prison right now with COVID going on and all the other issues that goes on in those type of dungeons. So it's just a blessing overall, and it's still just mind-boggling when I revisit and even talk about the situation. How did it go through so many hands, so many years, so many filings, and they just brushed it right under the rug? This is not a case where it's a possibility he might have did it, or it's a possibility this happened. It's all in black and white. When they told this lady to lie and say, you seen Mr. Harrington and George Clark fighting with the deceased, you seen him stump him, you seen him kick him, you seen him hit him with the pole. The medical examiner say, this never happened. This man was just shot 2 times. When they told this lady to say, hey, you seen this out your window. When the private investigator went to her house, they said, hey man, when you look out your window, it's a brick wall right there. How could you see way over there? So the writings on the wall is black and white. So this segues to us. You could take these black people from the community, people that normally don't have the finances to hire big time attorneys. The people don't have the finances to went to the best schools, that have the good friends to say, hey, my next door neighbor is judge such and such, I can call him and he can look into this. Because guess what? He's a friend of mine. But when you looked at, well, hey, we just get these guys off the streets and we get free labor out of them and we get all those different benefits that allow their family to flourish by the backs on people that don't have all those different things in those community. Why not brush it under the rug?
So 17 years, 6 months, 2 days, and 35 minutes
Absolutely.
You spent behind bars. How are you getting by? Just the day to day, the surviving. When you think of prison, you think of violence. How are you getting by?
Man, faith, man. I held on to faith. I held on to faith, and I held on to, I got to win, because I got to show everybody that supported me. I got to show the rest of these guys in here who just gave up and say, I don't got no more fight in me, man. I just can't do it no more. They don't even think about it no more. They don't even think about going home no more. They just say, well, hey, I'll play cards or I'll lift weights or I'll work in the kitchen. They didn't gave up on life because it beats you down so much mentally. All them denials, all them no, the officers laughing and joking and antagonizing you. You got like, you would never go home. Even on my way out the door, I talked to counsel. I said, well, you know, today my case will be overturned and I'll be released. They say, what? You got natural life. You won't. Yeah, okay, whatever, Harrington. That's what they said. I say, okay, I ain't gonna worry about it. By the time when they called me up front to be released, I seen those same people. Their eyes was big as quarters, because this is not common. It don't happen, right? It don't happen. People being released, it's happening more, but it's still so many people. I believe that I just had to stand, man, and I just had to go through it, and I had to go through it with a right state of mind. And I attribute all that through a strong family structure, a tight-knit group, and more than anything, man, faith. Had to have that type of faith. I feel like that type of faith, when you seen them, when the slaves were singing them hymns, when they wasn't getting nothing, they couldn't see the light of day, but they knew one day, even if it wasn't them, it was gonna be freedom. That's how I felt going through that. Every day I would wake up and say, the day to day, even if it wasn't that, even if it didn't happen that day, the day to day, that's how I was able to keep myself going. That's how I couldn't plead out for something I didn't do. I couldn't plead out the 3 years, because that would have took away my hope. That would have took away my faith. I had more faith saying, okay, today, something good gonna happen to me today. You know, even if it didn't happen, I'll wake up the next day. Today, something good gonna happen to me today. Even on my collect calls, the voice thing would say, blessed and highly favored, because I wanted the people to know that I was calling, that I'm blessed and highly favored no matter what I'm going through. It's going to work itself out. And I also be telling myself that even through tears, man, it's going to be all right. We're going to make it through. Even if I have to talk to myself, come on, man, you're going to be able to get through this. We getting through this. We going to win. And finally we won.
How was your family? How was your mother, your family impacted by this?
They were severely impacted, man. You talking about the baby boy. You talking about the child that went to college in the urban area. Don't nobody go to school. Don't nobody even go to high school, let alone college from where we from. Let's just make it plain. Right. You talking about the one who's gonna get it right. Y'all take him out of everybody. Y'all want him. So she looking at it at a more spiritual realm thing, you know, because we know that the devil come to steal, kill, and destroy, right? So even when I was released, she was shaking her tambourine, calling the angels in. I don't know if you was able to see the release video, but that was my mother with the tambourine, you know, and it was, you know, it was hardship, man. You know, seeing a family and a loved one going through something like that for so many years, for something you know they didn't do, you know, and the type of treatment that you get from the people that impose that is sickening. Like the officers and the detectives, they want to antagonize your family. Just say they bumped into them just on a whim or in the court, they'll sniggle and giggle and, you know, crack jokes and even walk past me. Hi, Kevin, how's it going? You know, just like so disrespectful, so knife turning, but it ain't funny no more. It stopped being funny April 21st. It stopped being real funny April 21st.
And y'all are suing. George Clark, he was also exonerated, thank God. Absolutely. But y'all are suing, correct?
Yes, we're suing. We have attorney by the name of Wolfgang Mueller, and yes. We have an active suit, civil suit against all the opposing parties that was involved in this.
I mean, that's what gets to me. I mean, I think about the Exonerated Five in New York back in the late 80s. Yeah. Some of them people who are in that office are still there. They're still in that. That's the crazy thing, that a sentence is overturned. And so, you know, something went wrong and nobody pays for it. Nobody is held accountable. So I wish you all the luck with that lawsuit, because
it's another torture. When you go through that lawsuit, these depositions last 6 hours long. And it's way more torture actually than a criminal. Because if they say, well, Mr. Harrington, have you been out of town since you've been home? I say, yeah. They say, where you been? I've been here, been there. They say, well, hey, you've been here. You're lying about it. You like, I just forgot. Like, I don't even remember what I got for lunch yesterday. Right. And so they just torment you, and that's another issue. Like, they already admitted their wrongdoings on one end, but on the second end, they go through great lengths to say, we are giving you nothing. You don't deserve nothing. We locked you up. We treated you as a slave. We did this to you, but you still ain't getting nothing. That's how they do it. Right now, I'm going through it right now.
Do we know what happened to the woman who was bullied into testifying? Do you know what happened to her?
Nothing, actually. I believe that, you know, they end up eventually just releasing her, and she went on with her life. I mean, she came through the court dates, and to just tell them like, hey, I lied because these officers threatened to take away my child. Had they did that, this didn't happen. You know, the way in which they made me say it happened, that's not facts. I just called 911 to get somebody some help. And they turned her into an eyewitness. And everything that they made her say, it can't be facts. Like the medical examiner said, this man was not beaten. This man was not drugged. He was not stumped. He was not beat with a pipe. He was just shot 2 times. So if someone says that all this happened, they're lying. If someone says they seen this at their home looking out a window, it couldn't have been her because she has a brick wall right there. How can she see from right there? It's not even possible.
And sadly, the person who committed the crime was never caught.
Absolutely. That's
the other part about it.
And that's a common thread, because once you get that corruption going, once you get that just close the case type of mentality, type of attitude, you still have perpetrators free. doing what? Committing the same type of crimes.
That's right. That's right. That's right. What are you doing now? I mean, outside you have the lawsuit, but where is your life now? What are you doing
Well,
today?
I'm a new dad. I have a junior.
Congrats.
Yep, thanks. He's 4 months old, and I have a nonprofit, blessed and highly favored always nonprofit. So when I came home, I hopped straight right in before I even had the nonprofit. So I rallied everybody that I can call, everybody I could think of in that same city. We gave away turkeys. For Christmas, we did a huge toy giveaway. We just did another one this year. We was able to bless like 700 families. We did a whole big coat giveaway and scarves and gloves. And we actually have a big Easter giveaway that we're going to do. Where we're going to give away bikes and scooters, and we're going to, link up with churches, different, just anybody want to get back, man, because I believe with all this hatred, because it has to be hatred to even want to go through and do something like this to anyone. You have to show love. So that's what I wanted. I wanted to love on this community so much to say, we got to stop this. We got to love one another. You know what I mean? When you see somebody doing something like this, even if they're threatening or coerced by law enforcement, you got to stand up and say, hey, this didn't happen like this. Hey, no, she's only lying because they making her lie. You know, and the only way that happened to say I got to love my neighbor like I love my own family. Because if I really don't love my neighbor like that, I don't care what happens. Hey, it ain't me. It ain't my family member. So I think we have to show more love, and that's the way we overcome that. And that's what I do a majority of my time. I try to help guys out um, through my consulting firm that's wrongly convicted in there, help them get paperwork, documents, or get their case to where it needs to go. Whatever I can do to help out, that's what I've been doing, man.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. How can folks follow you and support you, Kevin?
My Instagram page, Kevin Harrington 313, and Facebook is the same, just without the 313.